to formally bring in Adi Da.
Okay, I'll bring in Adi Da. He's here. He's wearing a purple tunic. He's asking, he was at first serious and then more jovial and he said, what do you want to know? And then he switched and said, what would you like to talk about today?
Hello, Bhagavan, beloved Heartmaster. Thank you so much for coming today and being with me and Shira. I wanted to ask you about the awakening process I experienced in 2013. For about a 15-month period before April 2013, I was doing intensive self-observation in your company, including conductivity and breathing you down the frontal line, and doing the inquiry, what am I always doing, and feeling into the self-contraction. And in April of that year, I started to notice that there was no internal motion, no source of internal stress, no content internally, and the frontal line didn't have knots in it. And I wondered if that process, which culminated in what I call a state of non-collapse, where I've not experienced the sorrow, the terror, the contraction, and the collapse since that time, and in your company, I felt the most extraordinary equanimity day by day, extraordinary radiance, even on the bus, even with my students in the world. And you described a process called listening hearing, in which that intensive inquiry into the self-contraction takes place. And I would like your clarifications about, did I actually fulfill the listening hearing process as you describe it? And did that result in me getting into the advanced fourth stage of life? Thank you.
Is the cat bothering?
No.
Okay. The answer is mostly in your experience. If your experience is of oneness and of radiance, then that is how we know that that process was complete. That's the first thing. It sounds like you have a question also about whether you took the proper steps, if you properly took the steps. And
yes.
You wanted to know if it was in accordance with my instruction.
Yes.
Yes. And I hear in that your dedication to me and your surrendering to being a devotee.
Yes.
And I love that about you, Theo. You are one of my children. It's a relationship that we create together through this spiritual practice, and I feel how much you want to be in my care and a part of my radiance, and develop your own radiance. So I want you to know that I see that and appreciate that. Now that I'm on the other side, I look for more. I'm looking at the results of the process, and again that they will reflect on how the process was done.
Mm-hmm.
So the results that you are experiencing tell me that you did the process well for yourself, and if there's a shift in that and you were to change in your experience or outlook, then I would just say to do the process again.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like you want affirmation that indeed you did a process and you're having real results. You would like me to affirm that?
Yes.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. I see you. I see what you did, and indeed you are a radiant being. You are a radiant being. Your radiance has opened up since I've known you.
Yes.
Do you have any more questions?
How can I undertake the process further to be initiated? Well, my hope is to be initiated into the Ruchira Sannyasana order, which is the most, well, there's the Saptana Sannyasana order even above that, but that would be, is that the next step for me, or how do I get initiated into the perfect practice given the conditions in Adidam?
Are you looking for a teacher, or do you want to be self-directed?
Well, if things were, as I understand, I would be initiated by Kwandra Sukapur into the perfect practice, and she would potentially be the person who could initiate people in that manner.
I have a way of looking at it now that I would like to share with you.
Yes, please.
So, when a spiritual leader leaves the physical form, it's like the golden rain that was coming from me, then the drops of it land in the people and then they hold the golden rain.
Mm-hmm.
But the source of the golden rain, it's not located in me anymore in a physical form, and so the hierarchy is different. Another way to put it is just that it's when a leader dies, it's really time for people to understand the manifestation of that spirit in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a helpful guiding principle for you, that you may seek the guidance of the woman,
Mm-hmm.
But that she doesn't have the same authority that she had when I was in a body. When I was in a body, she got her authority from me.
Yeah.
But it's by nature more self-directed now.
Mm-hmm.
So you would check if you feel that she's honoring me in a way that makes sense for you.
I get it. Yes. Yeah.
And if you feel that she is, and if you consult with her, and she would take on this role with you, and if it's mutually beneficial, then you should do it. But if not, then you should pray, and I can give you more guidance when the time comes for
thank you.
a way to go to the next level. But I really feel your flame, and your flame will lead you home to me. And just to always remember that.
Thank you, Bhagavan. I wanted to also just confess, Bhagavan, that I am willing and interested in going to your ultimate level of realization in this lifetime, what you call divine translation. And I long also to be in your silver hall in Fiji, in Naitamba, where I did not get to visit your silver hall when I was there in 2010, but I was given to understand that that is a place of principal initiation, and it does attract me.
Yes, yes. Yes. I sense that you almost think you're too humble for such exalted ends, but you're not. You are as eligible as anybody else. What would you like to know about it? Would you like my blessing?
I would like your blessing to realize you most fully in this lifetime.
You already have my blessing to realize me most fully. You are devoted and passionate sun on the path, getting closer and closer to me, and it delights me that we are in this march together. Well, I'm sitting and you're marching.
Yes, go on. You're sitting and I'm marching is right.
Mm-hmm. Did he have a sense of humor?
Yeah, he's extremely humorous.
He's really, because I feel it, he's mirthful and he has a bubbly heart.
Can you tell how old he looks when you see him now?
Like late 50s, early 60s. He's got like his hair is white and it's thinning on top. I don't know if that was in real life.
Yeah, he had thinning on top.
And he's tan and his belly goes out a little. He's not fat at all,
Yeah.
but it's just like his belly goes out. And he's wearing the purple and he's peaceful and he's happy.
You know where he is or what the surroundings look like?
Well, it looks so. I'm getting a picture of Fiji, definitely.
Yeah.
Let me ask, is your spirit, no, he says it's a ridiculous question. Like he's everywhere. He's in a layer of reality. He's not. Fiji is a picture of joy for him.
Yeah.
And it's a place of joy in that he wants that to be the backdrop that people think of and feel and see when they connect with him. But he's in a layer of reality, so, I mean, he's because he's so high and advanced, he's been able to be in a layer, not be in a place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bhagavan, I have a question about one of your other sanctuary areas. It's the retreat center in Lake County called the Man of Radical Understanding. Mm-hmm. And I have been working with Mike Waters and Spencer Newell and Tim Toy and Steve Shapiro and others to revive public retreats at the Man of Radical Understanding Retreat Center. And I have gone through the channels that seem proper, including Terry Henry, who's the CEO of Adidon, or the Holy Domains, and Rodney Grisso, who's a manager of the sanctuary. They both have been less than responsive. I've asked them to consider a proposal to have monthly retreats at the retreat center, and I was wondering what you thought about this plan and how I could strategically go about winning the approval of the people who need to sign off on this.
I have to check something. Just check. Sure. Okay. So, when I was in a body, the level of consciousness that there was, it was very important for me to organize the following in a hierarchical manner.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a way that people could feel safe and comfortable, and it was a way that was familiar in the level of evolution that people had inside of them.
Yeah.
It's a way that would help them surrender. Because of what I said in the last answer, the organization is in transformation, and if you want to study on this further, just study the nature of death, how when a person dies and human beings say they live on in my heart, that a part of the person, it's like the person's spirit gets disseminated into people's hearts in a way.
Yeah.
It went from being located in that one to spread and then carry forward. And the organization is in mourning still.
Yeah.
And is in the process of transforming the success of the organization will have to do with navigating the transformation. It is similar to going from a monarchy, where I was the king,
Yeah.
to a democracy where people each have one vote. And there need to be leaders. A president could be elected, but I was the best person to be a king-like leader in that generation.
Yes.
The conversations that would be helpful to have with those people would be if they would be willing to have an open conversation about their feelings of loss, their feelings of not their thoughts, but their feelings about the transformation of the organization, what their deepest spiritual instincts are saying. And here's one of the things that's tricky about the shift from the old model to the new model. In the old model, the strictness with which I led was relaxing for people. And it was a model for the kind of deep surrendering that you experienced in 2013.
Yes.
It was a model for that. But now, the model is not to adhere to the old rules, or even adhere so strictly to what the supposed rules are, but the movement now is to have a really deep knowing and surrender to the deep knowing, but it's not based on something you already know, like a rule.
Yeah.
Let me see if I said everything there is to say about that. Okay, he said that was... And he said, this is going to be difficult for people, that it will cause confusion. There will be people who will say, who will feel and believe that the hierarchy and the strictness of rules is my will now.
Yes.
Even though it was my will then.
Yes.
It's not exactly my will now because I'm not in a body. But they will feel like they're betraying me if they don't do it in the old way. And so there needs to be a lot of sensitivity to, of course they don't want to betray me, so there needs to be a lot of sensitivity to how it will feel to them if someone they're going to perceive it as disobedient.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
And it may be that not everyone's going to agree. Because I was the unifying force, and by nature of it, it has to be democratic now, which means there are going to be at least two differences.
Thank you. Wonderful.
And I don't know how you're doing in this transition. That's what I'm interested in. I think you have leadership potential. You have that combination of deep surrender, bravery, passion. You're studious. You've submitted to the process, and so deeply, and you have a lot of natural ability, natural talent for understanding me. And you could emerge as a leader. You could start now. It would probably take a couple decades.
Yeah.
But the hallmark needs to be compassion for whatever anyone's going through.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have some...
Do you want to hear more about the retreats per se?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please tell me anything and everything about the retreats for the public at your sanctuary in Lake County.
So, and it's a little premature in the sense that the first thing you need to... the organization is going to take a while to settle into its new form. Christianity took, what was it, like 300-400 years?
300 or 400 years.
Yeah, something like that before that got solidified. So it's still very fresh. And by the way, you would do well to study how Christianity evolved if you're going to be a leader, to see what did and didn't work and what elements make sense to you spiritually and which you don't.
I will, Master, yes.
And other religions as well, to see how they handle it. I mean, you should even think about the word religion if you want to be thinking about the organization in a religious sense or spiritual organization, or what that distinction is. So the retreats, you could get one going in 3 to 4 years from now. You should give yourself that time frame to have the conversations. You don't have to wait for the whole organization to settle out, but you need some allies. And you can then think about having a retreat for that represents a portion of my followers. And it doesn't have to represent all of them, but to get to even have it be that due to your expansive way of establishing yourself as a leader, that you might have people that you agree to disagree, but that they know you respect them and they respect you enough that they wouldn't stop you from having a retreat.
Right. Okay. I'll do that.
How do you feel about potentially being a representative of a certain kind of democracy that's both surrendered to me, but acknowledging the light inside as also being a guiding light, that I'm not the only guiding light anymore, but that there's a guiding light inside? How do you feel about that?
Well, my approach to that question has been to integrate what I call or see as the vertical dimension with the horizontal dimension. In the vertical dimension, I acknowledge there's a spiritual hierarchy and that you are the senior element in my life of that hierarchy forever. And I'm always oriented vertically towards you. Horizontally, I'm cultivating an open conversation with people to create an everybody all at once level of culture that's horizontal. And that could be applied to Adidam, could be applied to the Global Cooperative Forum. And every Monday night, I have a webinar with Mike Waters and Spencer Newell and Nova Skosilic and others, Daniel Belchar, to invoke your word from Not to His Peace and educate people about Not to His Peace, the book, so that there's a growing culture of people that could share the horizontal dimension. And then I could live in both the vertical dimension and the horizontal and have balance.
That's wonderful. You're my blessing.
Thank you.
See, this is an example of your leadership bringing your understanding to bear on my work, my revelation, and then bringing it to in this physical world.
In light of that, Bhagavan, I've written 3 manuals. I'm working on a 4th. And the first one is for the general public, called Reality Kit. And this is my own compilation of your writings about the Global Cooperative Forum and Not to His Peace, and some of your notes, to give my own description of how to go about starting the Global Cooperative Forum. And it's meant to be used within a guild, and I was imagining that we would both restore guilds within Adidam, but also have some form of universal or public guilds that could apply this information.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very proud of your work. great. I think that's great. Right on. Keep up the great work. This is wonderful. You honor me. You honor my memory. You honor my humble power. Beautiful. Yeah.
The second manual Bhagavan is called The Turnabout of Adidam, and this is not for the public so much as for devotees. And this is my interpretation of your instructions about how to restore Adidam. In particular, to have a convocation of devotees, so that devotees can come together through the webinar.